Welcome back, my friend. I'm so glad that you have joined me today for the Clinical Entrepreneur Podcast. It's always my greatest joy and pleasure to show up with you every single week and hang out for a little while, even though I know you're on the other side of your earbuds or the other side of your computer screen. But I know you're there. I know you're listening. And I love, love, love getting all of the feedback. I've had so much great feedback about the podcast. So before we dive into today's topic, which is an interesting one. I hope you read the title of the podcast today and thought, what is she talking about? Because, yeah, I'm talking about it today. But before we do that, if you love the podcast, it would mean so much to all of us if you would just take a minute and, first of all, like, subscribe and follow and turn on your notifications so you know when a new podcast arrives. But if you would rate and review us, it really does mean the world to us because I can't see you and hear you. And I don't know what you're getting out of the podcast, but I would really love to hear how it's impacting you, your clinic, your growth, your business, all the things. So wherever you're listening, you can always leave a review. I listen to my podcasts on iTunes. So it's really easy to leave a review there. So anyway, thank you so much. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I want to give you a little bit of context before we talk about it. And our topic for today is the reason why you really need your business to break. I know, right? Doesn't even make sense to say that. But let me give you a little bit of context. So, when you started your practice, you open your practice, you open the doors, and you are ready to go. You've got your degree, your certification, qualification, you have everything in hand, and you're ready to go. And you know you are going to solve all the world's problems. And if you build it, they will come, right? But usually we're a little bit on a bit of a shoestring budget. So we kind of have to, duct tape things together. And we start out by just kind of bootstrapping it, right? We maybe keep, hand notes. We don't have an EMR. Maybe we just create paper notes. That's what I did. I had paper notes for many, many years and paper files, and I couldn't afford the really expensive files. So I just got manila folders, and I didn't really have a good way of collecting emails and putting them in some kind of a CRM or like MailChimp or Constant Contact. I didn't really have a good way to do that. And so, everything's just kind of like put together with duct tape and baling wire. And there's no systems. I mean, you might have some paperwork, you've got your new patient forms, and I didn't have an office policy document for probably 3 years after I had started my practice. I didn't even know that I needed one just to just outline, like, if you don't show, these are the rules, these are the fees, here's what we can expect. You show up this many minutes early. If you're late, we're going to cancel your appointment. All the things that were important to me, I didn't even know I needed to write them down. I couldn't figure out why people were not following my rules. Well, it was because I didn't communicate them. So when we start, you don't know what you don't know, and you can't do the things that you need to do if you don't know that you need to do them. So our early stages of business are often fraught with all of these kind of little niggly problems. And we just sort of do the low cost DIY, economical, everything's sort of done by hand. But as our business starts to grow, we start to see and develop pain points. It's like getting a blister when you're walking in shoes. The blister just starts out as a little sore spot, right? And you think, oh, that's a little sore there on my heel or my toe. And you think, oh, it'll be fine. I'll just keep going. But what happens when you keep going and you don't pay attention to the symptom? It becomes a bigger problem. And it's exactly the same thing in our business. As we start to grow, as we start seeing more patients, and year after year, you continue to grow, grow, grow. All of a sudden, you notice you've got this little sore spot. Something in your business isn't working well. You kind of try and like tweak it a little bit, but things start getting dropped and your follow-ups with your patients aren't consistent, or you don't have those good policies set in place, or your patient notes get behind. Oh, I hear that all the time. Patient notes get behind, or this one is always for me, this one trips me up every time still. Not as bad as it used to, but I'll say to someone, oh yeah, I'll get that to you. And then I don't create a system for myself to write it down and give it a due date so that I know when I need to do it by. And then I forget. It just falls off my radar. I'm still working that system out for myself. But the list goes on and on. We have all these things inside our business that just aren't working well. It's like that little sore spot in your shoe, and we don't pay attention to it because we don't know that at some point it's going to become a blister. And now we've got some pain, and we have real pain, and we realize that okay, what got us here isn't going to take us there. We bootstrapped it together at first, and then maybe you have an iteration or two that comes along and you've bootstrapped and bootstrapped and bootstrapped. And finally you realize, look, something is not working here because I've got pain. I've got a blister that's not healing. And it's because I have systems or processes that aren't working for me. They worked in the beginning, but they're not working now. So what do we need to do about this? Well, it's a catch-22. And here's why. We know we need to do something. But the flip side of that is the catch-22 is we're just busy. We're busy. We're seeing people. You maybe have a staff person, or maybe you're doing the solopreneur thing. But we're busy. We got people to see and supplements to order with protocols and all the things, but we don't have time. And so we just go, okay, well, I'll just put a little duct tape. It's like putting duct tape over the dashboard, or just wrapping my foot or putting a Band-Aid on there instead of examining the shoe to find out why I'm getting the blister. What's the problem? What is causing the problem? When I stop long enough to examine the problem, I can fix it. Problem is we don't stop long enough. And then we get irritated because, oh, why is this happening? Why can't I grow this business? How come someone else is really successful and I'm not? What is it that is about me that I can't get this right? Or, why does the chiropractor down the street or the, practitioner's office on the other side of town, why are they growing, and they just keep hiring and growing and growing and growing, and I can't even get organized enough to get started? Those are all the signs. When you start having those thoughts, those are the signs that, my friend, you got a blister. You have not just a sore spot, you have now developed a blister. Now you got a problem, because what it's telling you is that your systems, your processes, your business, how you used to do it isn't working, and it's time to make a change, i.e., time to get a new pair of shoes or a different pair of shoes or do something different. So when your business breaks, it's actually a huge gift. Because what happens when your business breaks is it's just like waving the flag saying, help, help, I need help. Something's not working. It gives you clues about what the deeper problem is, just like when we've got a sore spot or a blister, or a patient comes in with a long list of symptoms and you go, oh my gosh, I have a good idea what the problem is. We're really good at diagnosing it when it comes to the patients, but we're not always great about diagnosing our own business shortcomings or those places in our business that are just not working well. But here's the thing. If you can identify the point in your business where these systems and processes and all of the things you have kind of going on, A leads to B and B leads to C and C leads to D. If you can identify what's breaking, then you can fix it. But the only way to do that is for it to have a little sore spot. Are you with me? So when you feel that sore spot, it's when something's not working and you keep stubbing your toe. I know, what is it with me and foot analogies today, but it's just how my brain works. Sorry. So you keep stubbing your toe, you keep tripping over something, and it just keeps being the same problem over and over and over in your business. Time to just stop. This is like a 2-year-old throwing a fit. You just have to stop, deal with the fit, calm them down, take a few minutes, figure out what the problem is, and then find a solution. That's what your job is. So when your business breaks, it's a gift because it's telling you there's a sore spot. We've got something going on, something's broken that needs to be fixed. And at the end of the day, if you want to help more people, you want to grow a more successful practice, which you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if that wasn't you. I know you. You're like me. If you want to grow that more successful business, have more impact on people, make a better income, earn a living that you can be really proud of and is comfortable for you, then your business has to grow into that. Because how you started with duct tape and baling wire, bootstrapping the whole thing together is not what it's going to take for you to have a super successful business that's efficient and streamlined and working well and taking very good care of your patients. So there's a rule. It's called the 3 and 10 rule in business. 3 and 10. You ready? The rule is this: every time you triple your growth or you go to a multiple of 3, so think about it that way, your systems, processes, and procedures have to change. Because when you started out with just you could do it a certain way. You could have all the things because you're on top of everything. You're handwriting your notes, you're making the schedule, you maybe have a paper schedule or an online schedule, whatever it is, but you are completely in control. You got it dialed. Then you bring in one person. Yeah, you can delegate a few things. That kind of works. You can still sort of manage it. And maybe you even bring in a second person. It starts to get spread a little bit, but growth can happen. But the rule of business is this: when 3 people come in, now you have to change everything. Now, I'm not saying that because you should be afraid, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to change everything because three people, so I'm going to stay at 2. That's not my point. My point is that your business has to continue to grow and change if you want to grow and change and impact more people. Because what gets you from $100,000 a year isn't going to get you to $250,000 a year. It's just not good. They're not the same things. It's not the same processes. It's not the same systems. It's not the same business strategy, business organization, all of it. When you go from 1 employee to 3, it has to change. When you have at least 3 people, you got to rethink about how you're doing everything. And then the rule of the 10 is at 3 and at 10 and at 30 and at 300, those are the points. It's that 3 and 10 multiple. When your business starts to increase, your systems, the way that you do things has to change as well. And I see this so many times when I'm coaching with practitioners is that they're stuck and their systems are stuck. They're limited. They're limited in their belief system, but they're also stuck and holding on to something that's not working. Well, I've always done my notes this way, or I've always had X, or look, I get that you've always done it that way, but you used to always carry around, a lunch pail when you were in 6th grade or 4th grade, and you don't do that anymore. So let's upgrade now. It's time to let the old stuff go. And it's time to let some new stuff come in. So when you are looking at your systems, you want to think about this. Am I doing something in my business right now? Is a decision that I'm making in my business for my business to work, right? Your clinical practice to work. I'm not talking about your clinical skills, although this could certainly apply to that. But I'm really talking about the system of your business, right? Whatever you put in place now, what I want you to think about is, will what I'm doing right now support me if I grow quickly? And your answer is probably no, because none of us think about it. I don't always think about it too. I try to be really mindful about it, but sometimes I don't. And then we start having growth and I think, oh my gosh, then now that system doesn't work anymore. And so I want you to really think differently about making these changes. Find the point where you've got the blister or even the sore spot. Catch it before it gets to be a blister. And you find that sore spot and you go, okay, this part's not working. I've got to fix it. So ask yourself this question. Here's what I want you to think about as we wrap up. I want you to think, if my business, if your clinical practice was to grow by a factor of 10, in other words, you 10x'd your income in the next 30 days, would you be able to handle that growth? If you are seeing 30 patients a week, could you see 300 patients a week in the next 30 days? Do you have the systems in place to do that? Probably not, because that's a lot of people to see in 1 week. But you get what I'm saying. I want you to think about that. Are your systems robust enough to handle that kind of growth? Do you have things well written out? Can you delegate? Are you delegating? You need to be doing only the things that your practitioner brain and your business mind need to do. You do not need to be stuck reconciling your bank account. That's what a bookkeeper can do. You can sign off on all the expenses and say, yep, I've looked at all of them. They're all legit. Here's where they go. And now you let them go do that. But that's something that you can delegate out. But are your systems able to handle growth? Now you might be thinking, well, what's a chance of me growing 10 times in the next 30 days. Okay, well, let's look at this a different way. I want you to think about this. And unless you're driving, I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Just close your eyes and I want you to imagine this, okay? I want you to think about, like, put yourself inside your business. And I want you to think about your business through the lens of future growth. Okay? The lens of, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm going to grow into. That's how I want you to think about it. And if you can create this energetic message in your mind. And this energetic message is this: you can imagine, as your eyes are closed, what does it look like when you look at your schedule and it's full? Every day is full. And you have blocked out time to work on your business. The patients are happy. You have a team of 2 or 3 people that are helping support you in getting your mission, your vision, your passion out and helping and serving more people. This energetic message that you're sending out, imagining and visioning this crazy amount of growth and what it would take to make that happen, is so incredibly powerful, because we get locked into this limited belief, limited mindset, like, well, it works for everybody else if it doesn't work for me, or I'm just so disorganized, or, for me personally, my story is, oh, I'm just so not disciplined. Because I believe that to be true, and it isn't true. I just have to change the narrative. But I've always thought that about myself, and it's getting so much better for me. I don't say that about myself anymore. I'm like, I have all the discipline I need to get things done when they need to get done. And it has completely changed. It's just such a subtle mind shift. So when your business breaks, before you go down the rabbit hole of, what's wrong with me? Why is it not working? This is too hard. I can't do this. Why am I not organized? Why is everybody else? Do you hear what kind of energy that's creating? And I want you to stop. You just stop and pull yourself, just put the brakes on that. And I want you to turn it around, close your eyes and think, what would it be like if I had all this if the phone started ringing off the hook? Would I be able to handle that kind of growth? Your answer might be no. And if it's no, that's awesome. That means your business is broken. Yay. Because what does that point to? Exactly the place that you got to go fix it. So now you don't have to DIY anymore. Now you're going to be really strategic. You're going to start thinking, okay, how do I invest in creating these systems that are going to support this growth? What if you do that now so that you're ready? With your eyes closed, you probably didn't have your eyes closed this whole time. I'm not very good at leading meditation, can you tell? But don't do it if you're driving and listening or walking your dog, because I don't want you tripping over the dog. But if you just close your eyes and imagine, okay, what would it look like if my business just really exploded? What would it take for me to put those basic systems in place in order for that to happen? How can I prepare my business for future growth now, rather than reacting and waiting until, oh my gosh, I got so many more people and now, oh, the wheels are falling off the bus. Don't do that. I want you to think into growth. I want you to embrace when your business breaks, when something's not going right. And I want you to lean forward, lean into it, and figure out, how can I recreate this so that it can sustain and support a massive amount of growth in the future? No more duct tape, no more baling wire, no more bootstrapping. So here you go. Here are your action steps. You ready? Here's what I want you to do. Number 1, I want you to identify one thing, one system, one process, one activity, something that's happening in your business that's a sore spot, or maybe it's even a blister by now. That's your number 1 thing. Number 1 thing. If you've got a pen and paper, write this down. Write it down. What is the one thing that you go, oh, if I had this fixed, and maybe you have 15 things. Great, fine. Write all those 15 things down. Get them out of your brain. But then pick one. Just pick one, and pick the easiest one, because you need to get a win here. We don't want to pick the hardest. Don't do that, because that's a setup. Pick the easiest one. And say, okay, what is the one thing right now that I know I got a sore spot or a blister? It's really not working. It's not serving me. And then I want you to write down why it's not working and what you need it to do, or what needs to happen. So what is it? Why is it broken? How is it broken? And then what you need to do to make it happen. And then you're going to create some, action items about how to, get it figured out. So let's say the thing that's not broken or that's broken is that you need a new EMR. You need a new electronic medical records software or something. You're tired of taking paper notes, or the one that you have is antiquated and it's glitchy and it doesn't work and you lose things. And so you go, no, this is a big pain point for me. I got to figure out something different. Okay. That might be one thing. Could be that you need to hire someone and you just need to write a job posting and get it posted on Indeed or wherever you're going to post it. It might be that you need to create a system because you keep losing people that cancel or don't show up or reschedule, and you don't have a good follow-up system. I hear that all the time from practitioners. Maybe you need to find a bookkeeper, like I mentioned, or maybe you need to create like an onboarding type of an email series. Whatever your blister or pain point is, that's what I want you to start. So pick the one that's the easiest. And then lastly, I want you to create a series of steps like action items. Okay. We've got the big goal, which in this case is like find a new EMR. Okay. Let's just say, so you got to find one. What's the first thing you got to do? First thing you need to do is make a list of all the things you want it to be able to do. Then that's step one. Then step two, and this is just off the cuff for me. Step two, I think, would be to research and find out what EMR systems are out there and available for you. What can you use that will help you? Then maybe step three is ask your friends, ask your college buddies, ask other practitioners that are in your niche that do what you do, what they use, and what they like and don't like about it. So in other words, do your research. And then step four would be get some demos. Start getting demos and start. Now, I know this takes time, but listen, friend, if you want to grow, this is the time investment that you got to put in your business when you've got that little blister or sore spot. Because if you don't, you're going to keep having pain every time you walk, every time you go into work. It's going to keep not working and not working and not working. Imagine the energy that you're expending being frustrated and angry because something's not working when it's just super easy to fix if we just carve out the time to make it happen. So once you create those action steps, then just start with the first one. But get clear about what the problem is, what's broken about it, what you want it to do, and then create those action steps. And you just like every week, you just say, okay, this week, I'm going to solve this action step. I'm going to do this one thing. I know you're busy seeing patients. I get it. We all are. But just this week, this is my one action step I'm going to take. And in a month, you're going to be a lot further along to having a nice Band-Aid over the blister. It's going to start to heal. You're going to fuss with your shoes. You're going to make some adjustments so that it isn't so sore in your business. You're not having so much pain with it, but you know that you're starting to make change. But what's the number one thing you got to think about when you're making the change? This is what I want to leave you with. Make sure that whatever you change in your business will support your 10x growth. I want you to think about that. I want it to be robust enough that it will support your 10x growth. So for instance, if you need an EMR, one of the ones that I love is Practice Better. Practice Better does a fabulous job of allowing the practitioner and the patient to interact, and it also holds all of those medical records in a very HIPAA compliant and safe environment. So that might be a really simple solution for you, but you want to go do all of your due diligence and then decide if that's the software or that's the type of, solution that you want to find. So when your business breaks, I don't want you to ever get mad about it. Don't ever forget this podcast, because when it breaks, it's actually the greatest gift, because it's telling you, it's like warning, 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 bridge out ahead, bridge out. If you don't stop now, or you don't turn around, or you don't take the detour and you don't go a different way, you're going to go off the cliff. And it's not worth the energy that you expend when so many people are looking to you to help them solve the problem, right? They're looking to you to help them solve their health challenge. And I want your business to work so smoothly, so wonderfully, so that you don't have to ever think about it. All right? You got that? All right, that's it for this week. Listen, thanks for hanging out with me. If you'd like more of these kinds of clinical tips and pearls, we send these out every single week. All you have to do, you can get on my list. It's rondanelson.com/join. That's all you got to do. rondanelson.com, and it's RONDA, rondanelson.com/join. Go get on my list, and I'll keep you up to date on what's going on in my world and how you can grow a thriving and successful clinical practice that makes an income that you deserve and you can be proud of, but also allows you to have a better and a greater impact. All right, friend, take care. I'll be back next week. Bye-bye.